Alright, fuck it. Real talk. Time off. I needed to do this song. Yo, I'm a nerd. It's a big secret, but I'm a nerd. And I love these books. If you watch it on HBO and think you know what's going on, I appreciate that. The people who waited 5 years for Dance, this one's for you. Check it. Yo. On the real, your boy is a hip-hop player, but for this joint here, I play the role of King Slayer. See, toe-to-toe, blow for blow, we can fight, G. But word to Jamie, there are no other men like me. This industry is in a roughed-up state. Cats front so tough, you call the bluff, they fake. And we all know it too, we just love to pretend. Use my tongue as a sword, slice them with the pointy end. And friends can turn to enemies in an op link. My click together firm like a master's chain link. We got skills, and yes, we're so ill. Our brotherhood was formed underneath the hollow hill. For real, shit so sad it's almost funny. Young niggas little fingers steady chasing after money. Dummies, I do it for the love like Stark, and sit alone with my honor in a dungeon in the dark. In this Game of Thrones, it's eye for eye. There is no middle ground, you either win or die. You gotta watch your cats who watch your back. You can get hit when you play this Game of Thrones.
Greetings, everybody. My name is Leslie A. Lechner. I go by the nickname Ted. In 1970, I was March 26th. I was born as William Bruce McEachran, Amos Jr. And though I'm not going to go into my sort of family details, the main support I get is from my mother, Mela Jo Bingisser, and my stepdad, Dwayne Bingisser, who I'm proud to say they've been married over 30 some years. They have a very good marriage. And, well, my father, on the other hand, is a whole different story. So, I'm going to be taking back my birth name, and I'm just going to make this short as far as that goes. I'm only going to be taking back my birthright as William Bruce McEachran only. And hopefully I'll have that name done before I get to London, England. I want to thank personally Emilia Clarke. I've written you letters. I know you haven't gotten them. You're probably a very busy young lady. Sending you a souvenir gifts, not because you're an actress, but because it was like so cool to write somebody from another country. So if you haven't gotten to me yet, and then I understand why. It's because you were probably busy doing the Series 7 shooting. But I am an aspiring screenwriter, and it's all because of you. You made a major impact on my life, and I want to thank you so very much. Um, I, through motivation and inspiration, it started in February when I was watching Series 4, and there was something about your acting skills that just totally, like, I will confess, and I feel slightly embarrassed saying this, but I fell in love with the Mother Dragons. It's like, oh my gosh, why couldn't I have met somebody in real life like this? I mean, she's got this power about her. It's like she can be pleasant, but if you do something wrong, she's gonna like grab you by the you know where, and you're gonna regret messing with her. And it's like, this is a dominating lady that I'd love to meet. So, anyway, this is like one of those things that I found myself like maybe just doing a few descriptive details. Next thing I know, I'm writing movie scripts. I didn't think I had that talent, and I've already written out a quad-trilogy. Um, I am working on a future TV show, which will be an offshoot from the quad-trilogy called Valyrian Tales. But then I kind of thought about it. Well, if the Mother Dragons marries her nephew, which I guess was commonplace back in like medieval times, because they wanted to keep the royal bloodline pure from prearranged marriages or however that works. Um, well, then how would I explain the fact that she is supposed to get the throne by this human ends up in her world if she's already got the throne? Well, then I had to look at it from another angle. Um, Woman in Red raises Jon Snow from the dead, right? And she's a sorceress. Now, if everybody remembers, the Khaleesi has a low tolerance for sorcery because of what happened to her first husband, Drogo. She doesn't know the secret yet, or maybe she never found out as to how Jon Snow got Rose. And she's got this mass sailing our vessels and her three dragons, and they've like already went on to King's Landing. And of course, I'm looking into the future because Series 8 hasn't been announced as far as a release date yet. So it's like, if I was to put myself in the shoes of people of King's Landing, would I swear my allegiance to a queen who married a dead man that she got rose from the dead by a sorceress? Not likely. That would be considered some form of evil, right? And the Mother Dragon is not supposed to be seen as evil, because you remember what she said when she first took the Pyramid Palace in Marine, that she has a destiny to rule a people that would love her and to be their queen. And she also wants to go back home because the Iron Throne of Swords for the realm of the kingdoms actually belonged to the Targaryens. So, in any case, many kingdoms, are kind of desperate. How do we get her off the throne? They don't want her to consummate the marriage because that would mean there might be a child. Maybe that child already has. So I'm going to have an alternate scene as well in case a child in 8 does come of this marriage. But if not, then that would not be used. And so you have new characters come in. Sutheros has never been explored, but there is a character that comes out of there, but he's also trying to determine that the world's not flat. And he comes upon Esseros from Sutheros. Then you also have three people who are kind of like they have the skills of ninja warrior skills, and unfortunately, the Dothraki are no match. They're quite agile. Everybody knows anything about ninjas. Dothraki, sorry, you were the best, but prepare to meet your undoing. So, they are skilled assassins, and they have these special spears that will kill her dragons. She doesn't want to risk this, and so she's not going to use those. And so we move on to like some others, 5 commanders of another area that is beyond the known world. They are known as the Dragon Warriors. You know, they're like what we would consider on our human world of Earth, the Chinese famous samurai warriors. So, you know, is a sickle sword going to defeat a samurai sword and a ninja sword? No. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. So the Dothraki meets her match, and so she's going to end up losing 1/3 of her forces. She doesn't want her dragons killed. So what's she going to do? I mean, she's only had the throne for 3 days, just got married. She has no choice but to annul the marriage if there is no child involved, or she has to do what is called dissolve the marriage, which is like an annulment, but it's different. That means she has to strip the land and title from any child that's born, and she has to completely disown and never, ever claim that that child has a right to the throne. Because otherwise the child will get killed, and she's not going to see that child killed, but she can never visit the child. She can never promise the child that may be born of her and Jon Snow to have a seat on the Iron Throne. So, with this thought in mind, she has to go back to Meereen. I mean, she's basically has no choice. She's not going to want to be a supreme queen of dead corpses because they're evenly matched. All right. So once the Dothraki are like 1/3 of them are killed off, and these other vessels seeing the king of the Iron Islands coming forward as well, they wait long enough just for the Dothraki to get on the ships, and they're fleeing back to Essos. So now with them taken off for the 2/3 that aren't killed off, now it's an even match. Is she going to uh, not comply, and then there's a bunch of dead corpses? I mean, because neither side would win. I mean, what would be the point of that, right? I mean, because now you gain nothing. I think it's where, in the moral of the story, she doesn't catch it, but she's actually making the same mistake that her brother Viserys made. He made the mistake very early on because he was too power hungry at the very get-go. Daenerys Stormborn Targaryen was a little more subtle about it. You know, she figures, okay, I've got this vast army, the throne is mine. And technically she was, right. It was for about 3 days. This is where the motion picture and the Series 8 connects, because she has no choice but to leave the throne, and there's a pact made that they will guarantee her safe passage to leave the throne once the marriage has either been dissolved because of a child being born, or annulled if there's no child being born. Jon Snow, of course, has no choice because they consider him to be something that should have never happened, because once you're killed, you're supposed to stay dead, not be risen from the dead. But the woman in red also has something against Jon Snow, and she joins another guest character who happens to be a relative of the former King Lannis, who was executed back in a series back then. And so in any case, this then leads to where I will introduce you to the characters as they are now. As you can see here, Littlefinger will have a part in this because even though he's not too happy with the fact that Daenerys Stormborn Targaryen has gotten the throne during the 3 days, he doesn't see what else is coming, and so he's going to be in here as well as Queen Mother. The Queen Mother is put on restrictions. She's not like sentenced to death, even though there's someone that would like to see her killed, and I'll explain later here. Kingslayer, of course, he's supposed to be confronted, but this never takes place because of what comes up about a battle that forces her under a siege to force her off the throne. And of course, Conleth Hill confides with Tyrion because of something that happens to Tyrion as well. So he's going to be in here. Alfie Allen unfortunately gets recaptured because him, and his sister, of course, like to, talk and, relish the victory that they have, because now it's supposed to be, once the marriage is consummated, that Daenerys supposed to keep her promise and help them get the Iron Islands back. Unfortunately, that never happens. So both Alfie Allen is captured by a relative who takes back Winterfell and makes it the Bolton Kingdom. And Gemma Whelan is captured by Pylo Asbeck when his ships show up. And so while a third of the Dothraki are being attacked by these the Dragon Warrior Force, which are 5 commanders, actors and actresses of China. He also attacks the ships, and a lot of ships are being destroyed. She can't really summon the dragons because you also got 2 actors and an actress from Japan who are the Dragon Slayer assassins. And the other relative of King Lannis has Daenerys go to this balcony outside the palace and says, "What do you see?" And she looks, and he holds up his hand, and they recognize it as a signal, just a wave, to show that they're there. And she's never seen these people before, and something tells her might not want to call the bluff because she loves her dragons. So she knows she's pretty much been had. Dragons is not going to be an option. So she's not even going to dare think about calling them, because she'd be sending them to their death, right? How can you be a mother dragons if your dragons are killed? That's something to take into consideration. Tyrion, unfortunately, is no longer in favor with Daenerys. I mean, she doesn't totally do to him like the one who got infected with this sandstone disease because of betrayal of trust. It's because she trusted him as being the official hand of the queen advisor. But now that she's caught to a point where they will allow her to live as long as she leaves quietly, and they will guarantee that they won't put it into their history books, which is why it's called the Lost Pages of Time. They'll allow her to leave so that she's not totally humiliated. But for her, this is a big loss because she fought so long and hard for this. And she then feels that, well, how can you be queen in the hand of the queen? I trusted you. I was supposed to have this. And she feels that, okay, if there's a place to put blame, maybe it's his fault, because if he's supposed to be this trusted advisor, why did he not see this coming? So she strips him of this title. And she even makes it to the point where she doesn't restrict him from visiting her, but he's not allowed to go back to the Pyramid Palace with her. So he's pretty much told, no, you're staying here. I don't want to see you. And she leaves it at that. She doesn't say ever again, just, I don't want to see you. He kind of takes it solemnly, and he kind of gets in depression. And this is why he confides in the Conleth Hill, because he feels kind of bad about this. It's like, what they worked so hard for is now gone. In the meantime, while all this battle's going on at the very beginning, they have the Summer Island Lady Warriors, and they are acting on behalf of former Queen Marjorie's mother's behalf, because she has a beef with the Queen Mother because of the simple fact that the temple, Faith of the Seven, blew up. And she would personally rather see the Queen Mother executed. But because Daenerys is allowed one final act as a queen, like, kind of like, if you're on death row, you get like one final wish. Well, she's getting given one final act as a queen to make any command she wants, and they allow it. And she thinks long and hard about this, and she's like, well, okay, I can't keep the throne, but I'm sure as hell not going to let the Queen Mother on it. So she restricts her. Well, under that restriction also protects her that Diane Rigg cannot have her way and have her executed. So, but in any case, they help in also dethroning her. Natalie Emanuel. Oh my gosh. I'd love to act with her as well eventually. I will in the motion picture. She is like the woman of wisdom, and she goes wherever Emily Clarke goes, the mother of dragons, uh, Daenerys Stormborn Targaryen. And she's there to give moral support because right now this is going to be like a trip of tears, kind of like our version Trail of Tears, like here on Earth. And because this is for her a very emotional experience. I mean, it's like their version of Pearl Harbor in their time period. They are caught off guard while during this wedding. And what perfect way to catch somebody off guard when they're having a wedding? Nobody suspects anything because she thinks, okay, this is it. I am now the ruler. Nothing's going to happen. Wrong, because again, having this sensation for the power of being the supreme queen, she again subtly, not right away like her brother Viserys, fell to the power where she had craved it because she knew it's in her grasp. But it was too soon for her to have this. So she has no choice but to go back to the Pyramid Palace. Grey Worm, of course, takes what silly warriors that haven't been killed yet by these dragon warriors that are armored, which are by Chinese actors and actresses. So again, not them or the Dothraki stand a chance. They've either met their match or are at a simple point that this is a no-win situation. It's either you're going to end up with the kingdom and nobody because everybody's going to be dead, or you have to retreat. And so they sign an alliance because they're also explorers with the other kingdoms that don't want to see her there. And so it's like you could figure that by them taking this alliance with the people who are beyond the edge of the known world, then they now have the power to force her off. Whereas if they tried to act alone, they wouldn't stand a chance because, again, she being a powerful queen. So it would take people with skills that she's never seen before because, again, they thought the world was flat. And the people that are on continents not yet discovered also think the world's flat, but they are explorers and they are the first to explore and come across Westeros and Essos. Macy Williams and Sophia Turner are very disappointed because with the Boltons now having taken Winterfell back, they have to go to, for a temporary place of refuge, the Dragon Redstone Island, and they are secured there because there's not really any reason for anybody to suspect anything. So they pretty much are there, even up until the motion picture. So then the question comes in then, who are the new guest stars? And so I'd like to introduce you. This is a suggestion. As soon as I get an agent or an attorney for a screenplay to make sure producers, I'm not saying all producers are dishonest, but I have been told that, if a producer purposely rejects your story, it's so that they could steal stuff from you and make it their own. And I've spoken to people like a guy, I can't remember his name, but he met me and he had his credentials from Lucasfilms, if anybody knows what that is. And he had the same experience. Some people stole stuff from him because he didn't have a proper attorney. So I'm covering all my bases. People might think I'm naive, but I do my homework. It's like, homie, don't play that. So I'm fully prepared to have this come about, and it'll either come out either during the time when I finally get to London and enroll into the college of where Emilia Clarke graduated from, or after I get the MA degree. I'm still looking forward to this, and even as far as I've come now with what I'm creating, my creativity is just exploding. I mean, it's bursting at the seams, and I never had this before in over 5-10 years ago. And it's all owed thanks to Daenerys, not Daenerys, sorry. Oops, slipped with a cup of the lip, right? Okay. Um, Emilia Clarke, I thank you so much. I hope that we can meet. And I would like to state for the record, I seen your interview. I thought that was like so awesome that you are so forward. You're like, well, we ought to have um, more visual of men's. We need to unleash the penis. I'm like, oh my gosh, did she really say that? I couldn't believe this. But Ecoli and Inspire, like Presley is like, wow, she's very outspoken. I like this London lady a lot. So if you look at a dictionary, and because I wanted to assure Emilia I am not a stalker. I mean, that would be like me trying to be a sewer worker. I couldn't bring myself to do that. Why would I? It's just not me. You know, I have my own personality. I'm a carefree guy. I'm single. Yes, I am looking, but that's about it. And so I figure hopefully the right London lady will want my heart and want to get to know me, and we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, in the dictionary, said a stalker was somebody like looking for someone, hunting for prey in the bushes. I'm thinking to myself, why would Emilia be hiding in the bushes? That just kind of sounds kind of ridiculous. I don't see her hiding in the bushes for anything. So if you can't find it in the dictionary, Emilia, then I'm not a stalker. Okay, it's not like I'm going to be following you from the grocery store. I mean, it'd be different if like we ran into each other and you had like too many bags of groceries to carry, and you asked me to carry bag of groceries. Well, I'm not a stalker because I'm just doing it as a favor for you with no expectation in return. So I just wanted to find that, make that clear. But to follow in your footsteps, that's not being a stalker. That's because you've greatly inspired me. So anyway, here is the new guest stars, and I will explain who they are. Okay, now as we know, and I want to explain this a little bit better, with Greyjoy being captured by the relative of the Boltons and his sister, who should have been queen, captured by the current king of the Iron Islands. Of course, we all know that he was going to kill them both, but his goal was to kill them both together. He's not going to just kill one and then go look for the other. So she becomes a slave, or he has her put away somewhere. I'd imagine she's obviously still alive. And so anyway, then that pretty much becomes a big disappointment for the Greyjoy and the sister because they're split apart. Um, Other things happen to him that shouldn't happen, maybe like returning to flailing but opening old sores by this other relative. Um, so it becomes quite the havoc, which sets up the scene for when the fourth quadrilogy comes out, jumping ahead a bit. The Dragon Warriors are ones who believe in dragons as well. They take on the Dothraki, who are camped outside of King's Landing. And, they are kind of like the blessing for the other kingdoms because the Dothraki, as everybody knows, are fierce people. Daenerys doesn't really stop them from raping women and things like that. And so this is also her unknown undoing because everybody knows you don't just take Dothraki who have, how would we say, no morals. Because if you watch some of the scenes from the time when she was prearranged in marriage, they kill each other without any reason to, or whatever the circumstance may be, or having sex in front of everybody. And it's just something that's immoral for the other kingdoms. And so these dragon warriors, who are explorers from another continent, who are from beyond the known world, become the blessing to the other kingdoms who want to have enough power to rise against her and not fear the dragons or the mass amount of forces she has. So they pretty much, the dragon warriors, prove themselves, that the Dothraki think that they're indefeatable. Unfortunately, Daenerys Stormborn thought the same thing, but she's never met these people before. And so these commanders have each their own armies, and they're explorers. And So the leaders of the commanding these five groups of forces are none other special guest Jet Li, who is Commander 1. We have Gong Li, Lady Warrior, Commander 2. We have Chen, and forgive me if I mispronounce your name, it's not intended. I believe it's Chen Daoming. He is the Commander 3. We have David Chiang, Commander 4. And if you look at his face, he's like probably somebody, if you're a Dothraki, you wouldn't want to boast that you're undefeatable, because looking at his picture, it'd be like, you really want to say that to him? He's going to take the challenge, and I would imagine that I would lose, because David Chang is not someone that you'd want to like tick off in a dark alley. You're not going to win. You're going to lose your head for sure. And that's a compliment for him. So, yeah, Dothraki, sorry, you're screwed already. Then we have another lady warrior. I believe that's pronounced Gao Yan Yan, if I pronounce that right. My apologies again to you. She's a good Chinese actress, and I picked these five actresses because there's something mysterious about them. They are the kind that you like with a mother dragon. You just don't boast yourself that, oh yeah, I'm this big tough, I could do whatever I want. You can't harm me. You don't boast that to them either, because they're going to take the challenge and it's going to be quite the ordeal. And probably 99 out of 10, 100% anyway, you're going to lose. They're not afraid of anything. And what to them, they, because they're explorers, what's some other dragons going to do? We believe in dragons too. So their way would be, in their own customs and traditions, would be like, bring it on if you think you got it. And she has met her match. You got 5 of these people. No, you don't want to do that. And what would be the point of her getting the Iron Thrones only to get herself killed? So that would be like genocide. Mother Dragon's not going to commit genocide. She's not dumb. She's going to preserve herself. It might take her a little bit. She's going to think of another way to get the Iron Throne back, even if she has to retreat. But it'll be the first time she has to retreat, because now it's self-preservation. Otherwise, if you wipe out the entire Targaryens, because remember, there is no other Targaryens. She just got killed. Targaryens are gone. There is no more House of Targaryens. I mean, her uncle, what can he do? I mean, he's up there in age, and so, there's not much he can do. He's out in the countryside. Then we have Wayne Johnson, a Sutherose explorer. Now, if everybody remembers Scorpion King, great actor. I mean, this guy is like a very trained assassin. He's going to come up on the other end from Sutherose. So the Dothraki now outflanked. The Dothraki may be many, and he may have a few, but he's also a trained assassin. He's going to come out winning in this. Dothraki are finally going to realize, we're outgunned, we're outskilled, they have agility, we're basically screwed. So as other ships are trying to flee to get away from being bombarded by the current king of the Iron Islands, they at least stay long enough for the Dothraki who want to go home anyway, because they're not going to get annihilated, wiped out, for those that are fortunate enough to escape. So they get on the ships and they're like out of there. They're like, we're out of here, So she's lost already a good share of her forces that could have backed her up. The cousin to the deceased King Lannis is Vin Diesel. He is a man, if everybody knows, that doesn't mess around. He's going to tell you once the way it is. And if you don't like it, that's just too damn bad. You're screwed. That's just the way all there is to it. And he actually marches in the throne room to the Iron Throne of Swords and holds up this document that tells Jon Snow, you told King Lannis a long time ago that you were going to remain neutral. Now, if you marry Daenerys Stormborn, how do you figure you're going to be neutral if you're going to be sitting at her right hand following in her stead? You won't. So therefore you lied. And therefore also because you're a dead man walking, because you should have remained dead when you were killed by the Black Watch. There's another no naughty, because the sorceress rose you from the dead. When he brings that to the attention that a sorceress brought him from the dead, all of a sudden it's like, Daenerys is like, oh, I did not know this. Okay, so she now sees, okay, this paints a very bad picture for her. She's bad enough she didn't stop the Dothraki from raping women in King's Landing, because again, they're a savage people, you know. So she's got a very bad picture of her. She has to redeem herself and rebuild a whole new um, reputation by never using the Dothraki again if she's going to get the Iron Throne's Throne of Swords back. But this won't take place until after the motion picture, which comes about somewhere about Game of Thrones 3, Dance of the Dragons and the Demons, and Two Dragons Rule the World, which is when this human, me, Dragonspear comes in. But see, this is on this prequel. I don't get to act in this because it's about a prophecy she'll get, and I'll explain that in a little bit here. The Dragon Slayers are very unique. They are the ninja warrior assassins. They also come from beyond the edge of the known world because, again, they're explorers. And that not only are they Dragon Slayer assassins, but the fact that they are Dragon Slayers. They don't use wood shafts for their spears. They're quite well known for working metal. And so even if a dragon was able to kill one of them, it won't burn the spear up because the spear will go into the dragon's mouth and kill the dragon instantly. Is she going to send her dragons to their death? No. Because again, you got to remember, the mother of dragons is not stupid. She knows she's outgunned, and she got caught off guard during this wedding with her and Jon Snow, which now either has to be annulled if they have no child, or if they did consummate the marriage and then they get married, or however that works, she has to never claim that child as being an heir. That child is stripped of land and titles. And Jon Snow either takes the child and goes to another country.
Okay.
So anyway, in this second part that I'm covering, you know, so there's the dragons don't have a chance, and she loves her dragons, so she's not going to send them to her death. I mean, she already realizes it's like reality hits her in her face. The dragons cannot be used. I mean, she could easily close her eyes and do her what I would consider like telepathy to call them, but she's not going to do that. They pretty much tell her that, you know, they challenge her. Well, just send us one of your dragons. Surely you can just live with two dragons. Let us demonstrate for you by killing one of your dragons. But she's not going to do that either because she knows that calling their bluff might not be a good idea. So, and she loves all three of them. So she's not going to do that. So they then tell her, fine, but then you better chain up the other two because if we catch them, they're gone. And she knows they're not kidding around. So eventually, jumping up ahead a bit here, she will rechain the two dragons back up. And that kind of goes along with the Game of Thrones 2 Khaleesi's Dragon Spirit when William sets them free again. Because again, these people won't be back. They'll probably be back in their own homeland beyond the edge of the known world. So the Dragon Slayers are Oguri Shun. He's the Dragon Slayer 1. Naoto Takanaka, he's the Dragon Slayer and he's also the leader. He's the man that has, from their homeland, a visionary as well. And so he sees victory. You know, it's in the grass, but there's nothing that Daenerys can do. I mean, she's pretty much done. You know, there's nothing. She's either going to commit genocide and allow herself to be killed and then be a ruler of nothing, and the Targaryen house is completely wiped out. There is no other Targaryens, no heir to the throne, no nothing. She obviously is not going to allow herself to be totally annihilated where there's no more Targaryens. So, yeah, she's just going to pretty much retreat. She has no choice. She can't be a ruler of dead corpses. What would be the point of that, right? And then you have Yuki Nakama. the female dragon slayer, and they're very agile. They can move these like gun launching devices or like crossbows that launch these like iron spears, specially made for taking out who or what? Dragons, of course. You know, these people are very good at metalworking. They are very skilled, and they have like the power like of a ninja. And any Dothraki that tries to take them on, they're going to be missing body parts, arms, legs, heads. They don't give a damn, you know. So don't even think about it. The uncle to deceased Bolton is by uh, Dennis Hopper, you know, and it's not because he is, well, he's probably like a long lost brother, but he's the uncle to the one that got torn up by dogs. You know, obviously, um, not if everybody remembers, the heraldry was never always complete because you refer to, like when I did the research online, it showed about how they allowed polygamy, right? And it just says multiple wives. Well, how many is multiple? 50, 100, 200? It's never deciphered because they didn't really keep good records then. So this uncle to the deceased Bolton, who was doing the flailing of Greyjoy, appears now, and he gets the crown, and Winterfell is pretty much, oops, gone. So that's where Arya and Sansa have no choice but to go to Dragonstone in refuge. You know, always they would be caught by this guy, and this guy plays a very good bad guy. He has this witticism. If you ever see any of his movies, he can say things that are funny, but at the same time, his humor is that he don't give a rip, and he'll make it sound funny, but it's going to be your own undoing. So he has the crown himself, just like Vin Diesel, who takes the place of the former King Lannis, and again, the woman in red who has something against Jon Snow because he didn't like the idea that she was burning little girls or people at the stake for her fire god. She feels unappreciated, and he said he didn't want to see her again. So she leaves, but she then sides up with Vin Diesel because she has her own grievance against Jon Snow. And so she now does for Vin Diesel, who is the relative to former King Lannis, as she did for the she will now do for him. The Three Towers castle cousin is the one that killed the first brother and the mother and the pregnant wife to the older brother of the Starks. You know, he's like the cousin to Walter Frey, and he plays a good part because he's not that old, but he's not that, how would we say, um, he's not like an invalid or somebody that you can take down easily. He's going to be definitely putting up a battle up to a certain point. So he's going to be taking over that castle area as well. Now, unfortunately, I was very disappointed. Poor King Tommen got killed. Well, he killed himself because his wife, Queen Marjorie, got blown up with in the temple by the faith of the seven religious fanatics. And so he comes in because, well, if Queen Margie's mother, who is the survivor of her daughter's death, can't have the Queen Mother executed because by being put on restrictions as the last granted wish by the relative of former King Lannis, which is Vin Diesel's part, that she's allowed to do, like, this is your last cigarette or this is your last wish you get before execution, except she's not executed, she's pretty much just exiled. Well, then she's protected from such execution. Well, that's fine. So who takes the Iron Throne? Well, the cousin to former King Tommen's, it'd be Elijah Wood. And he, like King Tommen's, you know, he's somewhat of a naive king, but he has his stern side too. You know, he's not one that you might get away with the first time. The second time he's going to see through, okay, you know, you try to tell him something. He knows that he's not that dumb either. His wife, of course, gets to be none other than Liv Tyler, because she, like Queen Margie, is a little bit older. She's a bit wise, and she has that sweet disposition about her. She probably has this great sense of humor. Um, she will eventually get to meet this human. She'll probably find him very humorous, and then she tries to give him advice. Which I'm kind of jumping ahead into the motion picture. This is not fantasy, even though we all both know it is. But you got to put yourself in this picture, because this is what I call the realism, the new introduction of acting. She tells him, William, in the motion picture, this is not fantasy. You got to watch what you do or say here, because people will take note of this, and they'll use that to, again, as leverage to take the throne away from Daenerys, Stormborn Targaryen. But you don't hear this until the motion picture. This here is just mainly the gap of the lost pages of time. And so when it comes right down to it, as she has no choice but to flee, um, Vin Diesel, who is the leader of the whole alliance, says, we will allow you safe passage. Don't ever return again. And in turn, we will save your reputation and will not mark anything in your history or ours either. That's why it becomes the Lost Pages of Time. And you will have confirmation of this by the time it gets to Game of Thrones 2, Khaleesi's Dragon Spirit, where William, who is now, of course, by that time married to Daenerys, this human husband, he discovers this, and she tells him, well, because of sensitive royal politics and everything, it was not to be documented, and that the marriage did have to be dissolved or annulled, because she doesn't go exactly as to what happened, like you'll find out here, but because of certain things that took place that shouldn't have, or maybe wasn't supposed to at the time. And so it is like a season 9 that was never put out. So it's become considered the prequel to the quad-trilogy, 10 episodes, and it leads to the motion picture. So the wife and queen to Tommen's cousin is Liv Tyler. And I think she would be a great actress for this, because she's done the Game of Thrones, and she just has that nice disposition about her, like Queen Margie had. As long as you don't act too scary, she has no issues with you, but she's also got a words of wisdom to herself. She wants to share. People are willing to listen. So Tyrion, in the meantime, he is pretty much disheartened by everything that has happened. And so, after he consults with this one guy that I told you about, he's kind of like, he's the guy that we know as, scrolling up here, let's see. Yeah, he is acted by the actor Conleth Hill. And so, eventually Tyrion decides, well, I just don't want to die a lonely life either. So he meets this other gal who goes by the name of Marcella. And would be acted by Kate Blanchett. So they get married, and he finally gets his wife. But again, he's not allowed to follow Daenerys back to the Pyramid Palace, so he stays in King's Landing. Back at the Pyramid Palace, as it gets towards the end of the 10th episode, I figured this guy here would be the perfect actor for this. He's the man with the gift of foresight, Ian McKellen. He did a great job as being Gandalf the Grey and later Gandalf the White. And he tells Daenerys, even though she really doesn't want to hear the truth, but he tells her, well, then you'll never have the throne. Or do you want to listen to words of wisdom? She listens, reluctantly. And he tells her that I've had a vision. The person that's going to lead you to the throne is not of this world or of any known kingdom. He's going to have a tragedy in his life. His world's going to cast him one way in, no way back. That motto is actually used in some scenes in the motion picture, and probably throughout the quad-trilogy on certain times. And he tells her that you will bear this person 3 children, if not more, and you to look in the sky, and if you see a red comet, look closer. See what you can see. If there's a blue comet following close behind the red comet, that blue comet represents a person who you've only mentioned names about, or at least two of your people have. Like Grey Worm talking about, well, something inhuman, or Tyrion even says the word human. Makes you wonder, why would they mention human if they're on a world 3 to 5 times bigger than Earth, which they've never even heard of? Probably because there's a legend about humans and they've never met them. Who knows? But the thing is that he tells her, this is the one that will lead you to the throne. You will come to find, when the time's right, you will awaken a spirit in him by the mere touch of your hand. And he shall be known as Dragonsphere, the male dragon, who seeks the other, a female dragon, known as the mother of dragons, who seeks her mate, the male dragon. Because according to the legend, only the female dragon will choose her mate and mark them so that no other female will have them. Well, those are words of wisdom, and she listens to this. But he also tells her, you have to remain pure for this person. That means you can't sleep around with this knight anymore. She takes that in consideration. He doesn't say when this human's going to show up, but it will happen. And she will then get the victory of the throne, but never again to use the Dothraki, because of the fact of how Dothraki are. So she'll be able to create a new army from the freed slaves from when she first took the palace of Meereen. And so this becomes quite the bridge or gap between Series 8 and the motion picture. Now, again, these aren't guaranteed actors, because I have to find an agent when I get into London. They have to contact these actors and actresses. And again, what's the old saying? The world is your stage. I think this would be quite the grouping. And for 10 episodes, it'd be quite the story of now showing why it is the human leads her to the Iron Throne as she already had it, and how she lost it. Excuse me. So, in the end, there'll be a total of 10 episodes, which leads to the Game of Thrones, the motion picture, A New Revelation. This is Leslie A. Lechner, known as, also by my nickname, Ted, who eventually, yes, before I get to London, if all goes well, because I have to go through the courts to do it, take back my birthright because my grandmother, may she rest in peace, illegally adopted me. And of course, it being a 2-year-old, can't really speak for myself anyway. But that's, again, that's kind of an unusual family history. People want to know more about it, they can interview me or something. Maybe I'll go through it a little bit. But thanks to Emilia Clarke, I am just so excited about this. I have a photo shoot I got to do, 1 hour for $250, which is cool. So if I have to do like 1 hour every month, because I'm actually paying out of pocket on my own, because I'm not born of wealth. But I feel that I am soon to be a rising star. I am very confident in myself. So yes, while actors and actresses work hard to get where they're going, I feel I'll be the one that works the hardest, because I'm not wealthy. I'm paying everything I have out of pocket, selling everything I own to get to London. That makes my job even harder than any known actor or actress who has worked their way up to where they're at today. And that's because I started at a position a lot lower than they are. And I know I will get there. It may take time, but I will get there. So, Mother Dragons, prepare, because Dragonsphere is coming to not only champion you, but to prove himself to be worthy of your love and get you that Iron Throne. Thank you for giving me this time. And coming soon will be the Missing Link, Lost Pages of Time. I hereby declare, under penalty of perjury, under state, federal, and international laws, that I, Leslie Andreas Lechner, known as by the nickname Ted, and eventually by my taken back my birthright as a Scottish Highlander of the MacEachern clan from the days of old, from Glen Eden, Scotland, which a castle should, according to my family genealogy, still stands, do hereby declare I claim no rents, credits, royalties, or privileges, or otherwise, meaning anything I haven't covered already, and that any contribution I make is for the mere linking up to, for this particular introduction, to acting for free. And any producer, as my family says, would be crazy not to take this as an opportunity, because I would be basically working for free just for the experience, and of course, obviously expenses, living, room and board, meals, if I have to, although I don't relish the idea of getting on an airplane, traveling to where different areas of the camera footages are going to be shot. So again, I'm claiming nothing regarding any musical themes, soundtracks, actor, actress photos from around the world that I have used in this this contribution of narration of the ones that I have selected as an aspiring cast director. Hopefully they'll still be around by the time I get to London and I get myself an agent and screenwriter, movie screen attorney to protect my interests. The agent, of course, hopefully will be able to act on my behalf, contacting all actors and actresses. And so all I wanted to do is make sure that this is noted so nobody can say that I have broken any laws, because so long as this is posted verbally as you're now hearing it, I have broken no laws, committed no plagiarism. All this I am doing out of my own pocket, at my own expense, and claiming nothing for myself. So again, this is my sworn oath, to which I will swear, even before the world of planet Earth, dark blue sky that shines at night in the dark Valyrian sky of the known world of the Mother Dragons, planet Valyria.